I have something juicy to talk to you about. I want to tell you how to get a large, no doc business loan with EIN-only. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you were to ask me, if you are doing as terrific as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to give you a step-by-step on how to get a large, no documentation business loan with EIN-only. In other words, a no doc business loan means that you are actually given a very little or no documentation to support the loan application. One thing that's very important to understand is that when we speak about no doc business loan or business line of credit, you have to understand that the documentation that the lender is requesting is very little. In some cases, the lenders don't even ask you any paperwork. They just want you to connect your accounting software to their own program so they can monitor directly your financial transactions, so you don't have to provide any kind of business tax returns or business financial statements. No. And another thing that the lender pays attention to is the I would say the how long you have been in business. In other words, you cannot have a no doc business loan if you are a brand new company. Okay, you got to have some kind of history. You got to have some kind of operational history, and some sales will definitely help. And you also, of course, you got to have an EIN, right? EIN stands for what? Employer Identification Number. This is the company's social security number. It's very important to understand that when we speak about EIN only, we're not just saying you just need to have the EIN and that's it. No, there has to be a backbone behind the EIN. There has to be financial strength. There has to be operational strength. There has to be regulatory strength. There has to be compliance behind the EIN. What I'm trying to say here is that your EIN alone as a standalone number doesn't mean anything. You got to back it up. You got to back it up with financials. You got to back it up with regulatory compliance. In other words, you got to have the right business permits and licenses. You need to have business accounts. You need to have business credit cards if possible. And you need to separate, in reality, your personal finances from your business's finances. And you can't do this if you are a sole proprietorship, which means that you need to incorporate. Folks, you got to incorporate. You need to have an LLC, a C corp, an S corp, whatever it is, but you need to incorporate. Even if you are a single person business, you need to have you can have a single member LLC. Okay, very important. So once you have that, you can start qualifying for a large no doc business loan with EIN-only. One thing you also need to understand is that when we speak about no doc business loan business loans with EIN-only, we are actually speaking about things like invoice factoring, invoice financing, accounts receivable financing, merchant cash advances, business cash advances, right? I'll go a little deeper later on about that, but I just want to give you a foundation of today's conversation. All right, here is the step-by-step. If you want to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN-only, the first thing you need to do is to understand no-doc business loans. What do people mean exactly? Like exactly by when they say no-doc business loans? Basically, what it is that you produce nothing. You produce no paperwork to the lender. You're not sending the lender any application form. They don't want to ask you how long you've been in business, all that kind of stuff. No, you don't have time to produce the documentation, or you don't have the documentation. Usually you want to apply for this kind of loans because you were rejected from traditional lenders. And so traditional lenders such as banks and credit unions didn't want to have anything to do with your application, your loan application. So you had to resort to alternative lenders. Okay. So this no doc business loans means that basically the lender has to believe you at your word. In other words, they have to believe whatever you say at face value. Now, of course, they're just not going to listen to you verbally, but they want to see some proof, a little bit of proof. And the number one, the quintessential proof that they want is electronic. It can either be your accounting software, so they want to see your financial statements from your accounting software, so the complete set, basically your balance sheet, your income statement, your statement of cash flow, but also your statement of owner's equity. A lot of small business owners, they forget about that one. It's very important. In financial accounting, you have 4 primary financial statements, not just the 3 that everybody knows. So that's the first part, your accounting software, to sort of delve into your transactional history. The second part, which lenders who provide this kind of no-doc business loans want to see, they want to have some kind of credit card sales reports. What I'm trying to say here indirectly is that you cannot get a no-doc business loan with EIN-only if you are having cash transactions. Your sales, at least the majority of your sales, must come from credit card or debit cards. In other words, you need to have electronic sales. That way, the lender can have a way to track your sales, not only historically, but also have some kind of projections in the future. All right, so this is important. So when we speak about no-doc business loans, you want to understand that. So you produce no documentation, no physical paperwork goes to the lender, but the lender wants to rely on 2 sets of evidence. Number 1, your accounting software, data from your accounting software, and number 2, data that your payment processors will send to you. The statements, the monthly statements or the daily statements or the weekly statements that your credit card payment processors are sending you, you want to forward those to the lender. Step number 2, folks, you need to evaluate your situation properly. Now, if you want to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN-only, you got to first understand, why do you need that money in the first place? Why do you want to go to this route and not a traditional business term loan? Why do you want a no-doc business loan? Because one thing I didn't say, and I will say it later on in the show, this kind of loans, the no-doc business loans, are expensive. They are relatively more expensive than your traditional everyday business loan. Okay, and so why do you need to assess your situation correctly? You have to understand, are you resorting to this kind of loans because you have bad personal credit or bad business credit? If yes, have you tried other ways to fix the problems, to fix whatever derogatory items you have on your business credit reports or your personal credit reports? Have you disputed it? Have you taken a look at the reports itself? You know, the funny thing is, a lot of people they just walk around and say, you know, I have 590, I have 620, I think I'm fair, but I think I have bad credit. But have you taken a look, my friend? Have you taken a look just at your credit score? You can go to a website called annualcreditreport.com and check right now for free your personal credit report. Now, on the business side, you can't do it for free, but it's worth the investment. You can spend $40 or $50 just to have an idea of what's in your files. You can contact the DNB right now, Dun & Bradstreet, to have your Paydex score or Equifax or Experian. So it's worth it. You also want to see if you have solvency issues in the past, right? Have you filed for bankruptcy recently? So again, I'm talking about those derogatory items, those adverse items on your credit reports. So what I'm trying to say here is that in evaluating your situation properly, you need to identify what's bad, if any, on your credit report and find ways to fix it. You want to also evaluate your current financial situation at the business level and also at the personal level. Obviously, when we're speaking about EIN only, we're speaking about the business only, right? But in some cases, for example, if you have a sole proprietorship or if you are a single member LLC and you haven't done the segregation of affairs between your personal and business affairs properly, you might be actually mingling, combining your personal affairs and your business affairs. So you need to actually evaluate your financial situation on both ways. Same thing for the operational, legal, and financial processes of the company. Same thing for the accounting flows within the company, the accounting work streams. Those are very important also. Step number 3, folks. You want to know the various types of no-doc business loans. This is quintessential. If you want to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN-only, you need to understand the typology, the different types of business loans out there, okay? And you need to understand exactly what they're for and where to get them. because not every lender will give you up to $500,000, for example. Not every lender will give you up to $1 million in no doc business lending. Okay, so you have to understand that there are actually four types of, in our review, in our research, four types of no doc business loans. So you have the true no documentation business loans, you have the stated income business loans, you have the low doc business loans, also known as reduced doc, and then you have the no doc loan, the no doc loans. Okay, and those are the ones that are purely no doc. Now, one thing I want to say here is that you have to understand. For example, the stated income business loan; those are, as the word implies, stated. So you actually state your business income without proving anything. But well, guess what? The lender understands that you don't want to prove anything, but they would want to see at least one piece of evidential matter, and this could be either your accounting software or your credit card transactions, the history of your credit card transactions over 1 month, over 3 months, over 6 months, over 2 weeks, whatever it is. Okay, you can state it, you can project it, you can estimate it, but they need to have some kind of a history. And remember that in terms of the no doc loans are not really restricted. In other words, you can use them for anything you see fit. Lenders are they're pretty flexible. Of course, they're going to charge you for it. Sometimes they charge exorbitant fees for that, and they're pretty comfortable. You know, if you want to use the money for cash flow needs, for working capital needs, if you want to use the money to advertise or expand your marketing, you can use it to buy equipment. You can use it for inventory or supplies. They're fine with that. If you want to expand your workforce and hire employees, that's fine with that. And in some cases, small business owners also use no doc business loans for emergency cash infusions, such as emergency relief for accounts receivable issues. Now, one thing I want to say here is that there are other ways to actually get cash for accounts receivable issues. No doc business loans are too expensive. You can do invoice factoring, invoice financing. You can even do merchant cash advances, and you could be better off. For example, for equipment financing, you don't have to use no doc loans to buy equipment. Just go get an equipment financing arrangement. It's better. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation about how to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN-only. And I'm giving you a step-by-step here. And step number 4, you want to find no-doc loans for your company. All right, because every company is different. Your company functions operationally, financially, legally, from a regulatory perspective, very differently from others. So you need to find the loan, the no doc loan, the no doc business loan that suits your operations. And when we think about that, you have to start looking at different types of loans. That's what I was talking about earlier. Are you interested in short-term business loans? Are you interested in merchant cash advances? Are you interested in business cash advances? Would you rather go with the invoice financing? That kind of decisions it really depends on what you're looking for. Let me give you an example. For short-term business loans, this kind of loans has higher rates, shorter terms, and fees, but they can come to rescue the small business that is in need of the money now and cannot get approved for more traditional loan products. Okay, and there are no restrictions for the use of the money with most short-term options. What about MCAs, merchant cash advances? Well, you can use this if basically you have, I would say, a healthy history of sales. Your sales are predictable, but there is only a gap. There is a payment gap. In other words, there is a gap between when you receive the cash from your customers versus the credit that you extended to them. So if your clients, for example, are on net 45 or net 30 or net 90, and you need the money ASAP, you can't wait 90 days. You might actually file for bankruptcy in the meantime. So you can go for an MCA lender that will advance the funds to you in exchange for a fee. So typically the fees, you have fees that range from 1 to 3% origination, but you have factor rates that range between 1.15% up to 1.45%. And then you have business cash advances. Those are also good because they allow you to actually bridge the liquidity gap that you have on a temporary basis. This is very important. And we love the fact that here you have reduced or low documentation, right? In some cases, based on our analysis, we have seen some lenders having a one-page application. So they're not asking you for too much. They're just asking you for one-page application and a plug into your banking, into your bank account. Either a plug into your bank account, electronically speaking, right? Or they want you to see, they want to see from you 3 months of bank statements data. Okay, so there's something you have to think about. And also you have invoice financing. Okay, invoice financing and invoice factoring. So those are pretty cool. Also, again, if you have a predictable sales, what I call sales pattern, if your clients are predictable, you want to go for that kind of financing. It's a lot better and a lot cheaper. Step number 5, folks. One thing you need to really pay attention to here is that you need to get your paperwork together. Now, we've been talking about understanding no-doc business loans, assessing your situation properly, knowing various types of no-doc loans, funding no-doc loans for your company. That's pretty cool. But if you have no idea where your paperwork is, if you can't organize your paperwork correctly, then all this work, all this research that you have done, you would have done it for nothing. All right. So getting your paperwork ready and together is very important. So make sure you have an EIN. That's logical, right? We don't have to even say it, because if we're speaking about how to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN only, that implies that you got to have an EIN, and you have to incorporate. As I said, you don't think for a second that you are going to qualify. I don't care how strong your business is. I'm telling you, if you want to get a larger amount, you need to incorporate. You cannot remain a sole proprietorship. So you want to incorporate, in which case, based on the legal structure of the company that you choose, you can either want to show your articles of incorporation if you have a C Corp or S Corp, or you can show your articles of organization if you have an LLC or LP. All right. And also think about your financial statements. Obviously, if you want to deal with the kind of money we're speaking about, like a large no-doc business loan, we're speaking 5 digits to 6 digits, right? If you want to borrow $100,000 or $200,000, it's important to have accounting software, or at least outsource the whole thing. You can't be, keeping your books in, in handbooks or somewhere like on an app. No. You want to actually professionalize things, all right? Also, you need to have your bank statements. That's very important. Your credit card sales reports are critical also, because again, when we speak about a large no-doc business loan with EIN only, we have the element of predictability. Because you have no documentation, the lender has to base his or her underwriting on predictability. And the only place where they can find predictability is in sales. Okay, so basically there are a lot of ways to do this. You can do historical analysis. You can do this quarter versus last quarter, this month versus last month. There are gazillions ways to analyze predictability. All right, and you also want to have tax returns and business licenses and permits. Step number 6, folks, and this is the last but not the least step. You want to contact the right lenders. This is so important. We see a lot of small businesses that want a large no-doc business loans with EIN only, but they're contacting their banks. They're contacting their credit unions. No, you got to contact a specific rate, a specific species, if you will. You have a specific, I would say, race of lenders out there, quote unquote race, category of lenders, and they specialize in lending to small businesses on a no-doc basis. Okay, so you definitely want to avoid traditional business lenders such as banks and credit unions. And in some cases, some online lenders also, they try to stay away from the no-doc business loans realm because they perceive it as too much risky. Okay, if you take, for instance, Ally, for example, Ally Bank. Ally is a great institution, but yeah, I mean, of course, they do have some kind of a brick and mortar experience, so we really want to play the game a little more safely, quote unquote. So you want to contact a constellation of alternative lenders if you want to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN only. We have covered this topic on other shows extensively, but here we're just going to give you just, just kind of a few, let me just call it candy, some kind of eye candy here. I'm going to give you a few institutions that you can contact that we have reviewed, and those institutions are very, very, very highly rated, at least based on our analysis. So we have Rapid Finance, a great no-doc business lender. You have Advanced Point Capital, another one you can trust. They have a little or no doc loans. You have Reliant Funding. You have Forward Financing. Great also when it comes to large no doc business loans. You have IOU Financial. Also another great one in terms of loan variety, customer service, competitiveness of the rates. You have Breakout Capital also, another great contender. One thing I want to say before closing here is that whenever you contact those alternative lenders, you want to make sure you speak to someone before applying. You can contact them online, but if when push comes to shove, when you have to apply, do not apply online. You can apply online unless you can apply online if they tell you to do so. But before you do, speak to someone. Explain to them exactly what you're looking for, what your company situation is before you actually apply. All right, folks, this is it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about how to get a large no-doc business loan with EIN-only. And I explained to you that you have to understand no-doc business loans. You need to evaluate your situation properly. You need to know various types of no-doc loans. You need to find no-doc loans for your company, the one that actually suits your company. You need to get your paperwork ready. And last but not the least, you need to contact the right lenders. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.